Namaste, good evening or good morning, day, afternoon, whenever you're doing this video as well. So welcome to all of you through our time and space. So we're just starting our sixth class, our sixth class, and we're on the sixth chakra, Ajna. The Ajna is the eye, the brow chakra, or often referred to as the third eye. So in the Indian deities, you often see this third eye coming, on this angle, not our eye isn't like here, it's this way. And this is the eye of knowledge, the eye of perception, the eye of enlightenment, if you like. So I'll talk a little bit more about that to start with. So I'm just going to let you know what you need. So if you do need, hi Robin, as you do need to get anything, then you can. We're going to start simply on some blocks, or if you don't have a couple of stacked blocks, because we're going to kneel on those, you could just use your bolster or something that's high enough for you to sit kneeling comfortably. You might like a folded blankets for some other seated work and cross-leg position. And if you have some sort of a chair or something that you might be able to lean into, it might be even like a buffet thing, I've got this square thing next to that mirror, some things like that, or a little mini table, something like that, where you might be able to rest. Oh, and so we do want the block as well. So hopefully we have those things. And we're going to start in Virasana. So what does Virasana look like? I'm going to just have to be changing my camera work around a little bit. So I've got my two blocks stacked, one on top of the other, long way, width ways, not long ways, width ways. And I'm going to take my feet on either side of those blocks and just sit my buttocks down onto that. Now, to start with, you don't really need to see the full frame of me, so hopefully this is going to be enough. So make yourself nice and comfortable. So I'll just quickly talk about the chakra itself before we go on. So if you actually find this a bit uncomfortable, you could just sit with your legs out, and you could be, sitting a little bit more casually as you just taken the information. If Virasana isn't suiting you, I'm actually going to sit in half Virasana. Why not? So the brow center, or the third eye, Ajna. We come to the sixth chakra. This is the chakra that is about our vision center. It's where we not only see, but also perceive. It's like coming in, that third eye has this ability to look back inward and to have that inner knowledge, that inner understanding. So it is really our power of perception, and it is the seat of our consciousness. It also is the seat of our intuition. And many people like to develop this, get a little obsessed by this chakra, because as you develop it, you can develop psychic skills. So it is the porthole into other realms, other understanding, mystic sort of abilities and things like that. So it has its charm, and some people really like to sit it in the mysticism and, to really build that aspect of it. Some of it's, so really it helps us to visualize. Yes, to actually visualize pictures or whatever, I'm really not good at that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that chakra isn't particularly opened if you're not a very visual person. But to have vision, to be able to have vision for your future, vision for yourself, for life, and how you want to live. And it helps you with your imagination, and it is also where our dreams come from. And our dreams can be very powerful and have hidden messages through them. So it also can help with clarity, just for this knowing. So we talk about this inner, it's going into our inner understanding, our inner knowledge, and we begin to develop this inner knowing. Just, you just have a hunch about things. Things tend to just be in flow. You think, now I just don't know, but I'm not going to buy that today. I just don't feel, right about it, or not sure about this person or this situation, or today I think I should take a different way to work, or I'm thinking of somebody and then they ring, or somebody rings and you think of that person and you know it's them. So these are the sort of things that this chakra tends to develop in ourselves. So our ability to think clearly as well, and to make really good decisions, to be in the greater flow. So this can give us a sense of inner peace, this inner trusting of life that helps us feel more centered, more peaceful, more at ease with situations and whatever comes in front of us, because we feel we have the tools to handle it and to discern well and to perceive well what's going on. So I talk about this as, we live our life through the experience of our senses, through our five senses, and this is literally our sixth sense. This is where we begin to develop our sixth sense. So with that in mind, I did just want to say that it is physically, obviously, the eyes, but it is also the pineal gland. So there's not a lot known about this gland, which sits really in the middle of our head, right at the base there of the skull. It's sort of at this height. So we often think about looking outwardly for this chakra. We look, with our eyes closed in front of us, but it's more of actually an inward gaze. So it is actually that gland that is very mysterious in science. I don't know a lot about it, but it does have something to do with the chemicals of our body, and in particular melatonin, which regulates our sleeping and waking state, which is also interesting in itself. All right, without further ado, let's get into some practice. So we're going to kneel in Virasana, which is the kneeling posture here on our blocks, or on your bolster, or whatever you've chosen to be comfortable with. Let's start, class, with just bringing our hands into prayer and placing the back of our thumbs into Ajna, into the eyebrow center, which is in between the eyebrows and just a little bit above. So you find the tip of the brow, the brow there, and then it's just above, and you'll find this nice little dip. So we place the back of the thumbs there. And just have a little tiny rotation of the thumbs into the area, as if to stimulate the area. Sometimes I like to tap it with my third finger, with my middle finger. You can try that if you feel you'd like to just experience that. But I often, particularly if I'm foggy or unclear in the head, sometimes I get the tension headaches, and I tap there to help that. You can just place the hands back into prayer at Ajna, at the eyebrow center, and begin to turn your gaze inward and find the rhythm of your breath. Just allow the breath to be natural to start with. We're going to do 3 ohms. We're going to take an inhale and om out. As we om out, we're going to allow the hands to come out and wide from the chakra, and then make its way back on the inhalation, the exhalation coming out as if opening up and letting it flow around us. So we take the inhale. Hands back to Ajna, inhale. Last one. Hands meet back at the forehead. Just taking a moment to settle again. And as you're ready, just allowing the hands to release down into your lap, onto your thighs, wherever they're going to be comfortable. You might like to bring the index finger and thumb together and place the hands just on the lap, on the thighs. If the eyes are shut, just let them remain closed. If they are darting about and feel aggravated and not ready to shut, you can just have a soft and downward gaze. And imagine, if you are doing that, as if your eyes sit back in the socket by about a centimeter. Begin to deepen the breath, and as you do, I'd like you to take the breath directly in through the area, as if you're breathing directly through that third eye, through Ajna chakra. And as you draw the breath in, just letting it fill up through the head, as if just really creating space and gathering up any agitation or confusion, cloudiness, tiredness, and exhaling just through the center again, exhaling out any of that debris, anything that is taking you away from a sense of spaciousness and clarity in the mind, in the head. So inhaling directly through the eyebrow center. And allowing the exhalation also through the eyebrow center. Clearing out any stagnation, confusion, fogginess, or over agitation or busyness. Let any busyness of the eyes, if they are still, bouncing around a little bit, darting about under the lids, just allow them to relax back into the sockets as you do this breathing. Try and release any frowning, any tension around the forehead, through the temples, around the eyes, in the jaw, and also the nose, the inner nose. As you work with this breath, can you even imagine that the skull relaxes around the skull? Imagine that your hair can just be at more ease. So if you do have, nobody has here, I don't think has anything tight on their head, but try and have it nice and loose. If you have it pulled back, don't have it pulled back really tightly. Relaxing through the neck, through the shoulders, as well as the features of the face. And then I'd like you to bring your right hand up, and I'm just going to use the simple hand placement or mudra with the Nadi Shohana breath, the alternate nostril breathing that we're about to do. Many of you may have learned to do this breath with the two fingers at the forehead and the ring finger and thumb negotiating the nostrils. I'm just going to suggest a simple stop hand with the forefinger coming into the third eye and the thumb just sitting in between the two nostrils to start with. And we just change the thumb to left or right to close the nostrils to work on breathing from one side and then the other. So we're going to take an inhale here with both nostrils open. And then we're going to close the right nostril and exhale through the left. Then we're going to inhale through the left nostril. Nice and slow inhalation. Close the left and exhale through the right. And then we inhale through the right nostril. Nice, steady, slow breath in and out. Close the right nostril and exhale, slow, steady breath through the left. That's one round. And inhale through the left nostril. Close the left and exhale through the right nostril. We inhale through the right nostril. Close the right and exhale through the left. It's 2 rounds. We inhale through the left nostril. Close the left and exhale right. Inhale right nostril. Close the right, exhale through the left. 3 rounds. Take 2 or 3 more rounds in your own time. Inhaling through the left nostril. Know that every time you exhale through the left nostril, you've completed a round. Next time you exhale through the left nostril, just make that your last round, your last exhale. You can just release the hands to the lap and take a couple of deepened breaths through both nostrils. Just begin as you come out of there to notice how you feel and to allow any natural, spontaneous movement and releasing of any body parts that come to you, using your intuition, using the guidance of your own body to work out what you need next. And then when you've done that, we're going to come on to our hands and knees, and we're going to have a block. We're going to place the block in the middle of our hands. Coming into cat, you might just like to sway your tail a couple of times, releasing through the length of the spine from the tail all the way to the crown. I like to think of my head as an extension of my spine. So many times I see people just doing this with a dropped head, as if the head doesn't matter. But I really want you to think about this as the head being the top end of the spine and needing to complete the snake-like movement of the spine. You might like to roll your tail in little circles, just a few times in one direction and then in the other direction. You can place your hands so the fingers turn out to the sides and just sway from left to right a couple of times. We're doing a little bit of wrist work for whatever reason. Instinctually, I've decided this. I don't know what it has really to do with this chakra, but anyway, it's come to me. And then we turn our fingers in, if we can, towards the body. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, drop the head and tail, releasing. If you can, just have the hands at the angle that suit you if this is too much. Inhale, coming back up, Roll the sit bones up, lift the chest, the chin, drop the ribs, and then exhale. Draw the navel in, drop the head and tail, push the floor away from you as best as you can here, and then inhale back to neutral. Carefully release those hands out. Bring your big toes together, widen your knees apart, nice and wide from each other, and drop the buttocks down towards the heel. So, heels up. You can rock from side to side a couple of times, and I want you to have that block close enough to you that when you begin to extend the arms out, you can just place the forehead to rest onto the block. So if you need the block on a higher level, then please take that. If lying it on its back is not high enough for you. You can just reach the hands, arms away for a moment as you snuggle your torso into your thighs. And then if you like, you could simply rest the elbows down to the floor. You might like to have the elbows lifted and the arms actively engaged, so that could be just a choice that you make for yourself. And rock a little from side to side so we get this little impression on the forehead, that the forehead is getting a little massage as you rock your torso from left to right. In a gentle way, that the head is attached to the spine, so that also gets this little rock on. And then you might like to just let that fade out. And if you do have active arms, you might like to take a moment where you just allow the elbows to drop to the earth. Keep long through the spine and lengthening out through the crown. Imagine that you can take a breath now through the back of your skull, through the back of your head, in that area in line with the third eye. So we're breathing now as if we were before, but from the back of the head. You know, you can get that feeling sometimes of tingles in the back of your head. This is like that inner knowing. As you're ready, we use an inhalation to gently and carefully push ourselves up. The toes can just remain where they are unless you're a little uncomfortable. You can take them a little wider. We roll up sit bones and chest and chin. Let's tuck the toes under actually, and then push back buttocks to heels. And you might just tap those, the forehead back down. Use the inhalation to round up, to drop the head, tuck the tail, and push forward at the same time. And then just lifting the head, rolling the sit bones up, dropping the ribs down, lifting chest and chin. And then pushing those hands into the floor as you drop your forehead there. It just taps down on the block before we rise back up. Lengthening as we land shoulders over wrists, and then exhale. Rolling sit bones up, chest and chin up, and then dropping hips back down to the heels. Tap the forehead, and then up we come once again. And exhale, back down. Inhale, rolling up again, and as you come with the shoulders over the wrist, just tuck your knees in so they're in line with the hips, and we sit back down on our heels. Take the arms out on the next inhale, reaching out and up. Ground yourself down through your base as you look up at the hands meet. Even with the eyes shut, you intuitively know where the hands are, and then they drop down, thumbs back to the forehead, and they can just run down the face to the heart and down through the solar plexus, belly, hips. Inhale, rise, and you could rise all the way up. It's going to take me off camera a little bit. You could rise all the way up, lift the chin, look up, even with your eyes shut, and let the thumbs touch through the third eye, and then just plow down through the center, touching all the chakras as we come all the way down, hands to hips. Last round. Inhale, rising, lifting, opening. And as we exhale, hands to the forehead, dripping down across the face, to the throat, to the heart, to the solar plexus, to the belly, and to the hips. Take a moment as you just feel into the awakening of the body and feeling into the subtle realms of the body. So not just how your physical body is feeling, but the energy that surrounds your body. How is that beginning to feel? Find the length through your spine. If this is too uncomfortable, yeah, it's great that you've got some blocks there. You can use those. We are coming into a cross-legged position. So if this is too much for you and you want to go straight ahead into that, you can also do that. I just find this position is super, super good for keeping the length in the spine, right? When you get cross-legged, we can tend to dip a little. So begin to take the inhalation as if the inhale can start at the tail and ride up the spine to the crown. And the exhalation as it rides back down from the crown all the way to the tail. So using a few rounds of awakening to the spinal breath, awakening the Sushumna. The Sushumna is the energetic spine in which the chakras are residing from. When we do our Nadi Shohana, we are tapping into the masculine and feminine energies that crisscross along the Sushumna, and as they crisscross along that energetic spine, the crisscrossing is where the chakras are. So Pingala and Ida are the masculine and feminine, little energy channels that crisscross along and that we work with when we're doing the alternate nostril breath. So you might like to swing your feet out to one side so we can come and sit in a cross-legged position. This is where it might be handy for you to sit on something. So if you prefer to sit on a blankie or something else, then please take that support. And once you've got yourself comfortable, have a nice long spine. Really try and find your sit bones, really coming back to Muladhara, that root chakra that grounds us, that roots us into the earth and that keeps us stable. So finding that here in the physical body, and then that ease, that sense of flow and enjoyment that comes from Swadhisthana, that sacral chakra, the second one, the element of water. And that length and uprightness, this sort of spark that comes with this sitting upright and feeling the inner strength that you have that comes from our Manipura. Open-hearted, so nice and lifted through the chest, shoulders relaxed. We're not stooping in any way. And you feel that difference when our posture is open, lifted, and broad, that we have this openness, this willingness that comes from the heart chakra. And the chin tucks just nicely so we can feel this sense of energy and containment here that is able, the strength to be able to speak our truth, to express ourselves for who we truly are. And then all the way up into Ajna, where we're now able to perceive, to know ourselves fully and deeply. And in that self-knowledge, enabling us ourselves to see more clearly other people and the world and life and nature. So we begin to be able to really weave it all in a coherent wholeness. So let's just take our hands out to the side without losing any of the alignment that we've just managed to gain. Fingertips just lightly touching the earth, because we're so long and lifted through the spine that our arms barely reach the floor. It may be more of an imagination, and as we're working with Ajna, that is absolutely fine. So find the length and lift through the inhalation, riding up from the tail, up the spine, up the Sushumna to the crown. And as you exhale, just drop the left ear to the left shoulder. Take an inhale as you rise back into the center. And as you exhale, dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. And inhale once again, lengthening up, reaching up through the crown. Exhale, keeping that length and just dipping the ear to the shoulder and really reaching into the opposite hand. So we're still now on that left, dipping to the left side. Really begin to reach into that right arm. It may even lift off the floor a little bit. Take a breath there, reaching the right fingers away, crown to the left, and then just turn the chin. So the chin comes to that left shoulder. And you might like to begin to pull that right arm back behind you a little without bending the elbow or anything. You're just pulling the straight arm a little bit behind your torso as you take the chin towards the shoulder now. Breathe some nice deep breaths in through the muscles that are getting a stretch, perhaps all the way from the jaw to the fingers. And then slowly, on an exhalation, drop that right hand back to the earth, tuck the chin back into the chest a little, and then the next inhale, just lifting the chin up to neutral, head in the center, using the next exhalation to drop the ear to the right hand side, right ear to right shoulder. Take a little bit of time, and as you inhale, you're beginning to really stretch into the left arm. Maybe the finger's going to lift off the floor now as you begin to reach into the fingertips there and take the crown further and further up and over to the right-hand side. Breathe into the neck muscles, arm muscles, shoulder muscles, whatever you need. Take one more breath there and use an exhalation to begin to drop the chin in towards that right shoulder. You might even like to begin to take that left arm just behind you a little bit, just to, don't have to go too far with it, right? You're just looking for the stretch in the neck, not for the stretch, you know, in the arm. We don't want to bend the elbow and just randomly take the arm behind us. We're just looking for our best stretch. So in that way, you might even need to drop the hand towards the floor a little bit more before taking it back to back behind you. And then just turning perhaps that chin a little bit more into the shoulder. Inhale to release the arm, drop the chest, chin into the chest, and exhale just to neutral once again. Take an inhale, lengthening from tail to crown, and exhale, let's, sorry, inhale and exhale, let's drop our chin down into our chest. I want you to feel this sense of tone throughout the entire length of the spine, from the tail dropping into the earth to it running up the spine, and the curve in the neck and the tone that comes all the way out through the crown. On an inhalation, begin to lift from your lower belly, drawing the lower belly in as you lift your chin up towards the ceiling, and not just, you know, throwing your head back and relying on the flexibility of your neck, but to really lift the chin and support the head through the work in the belly. And then take an exhale as you're ready to drop the chin a little out and down towards the chest. And then this time we can drop the ear to the right hand side and use another inhalation to take that chin out to the right and up towards the sky and across as we exhale, down to the left and down towards the chest again. Let's repeat it in the opposite direction. So we can inhale, the chin to the left shoulder, up the left side, lifting it across the sky to the right as we exhale, releasing down that right side, tucking the chin in towards the chest. And I'd like you to do another round in your own time with your own expression. Just maybe you want to do it a little differently from how I have, led you. Begin to intuit for yourself how to move, how to help release any tension in the neck. And as you're ready, you can just come back to the center once you've done, hopefully, your sides evenly, or if one side needed a little more attention than the other, then that is also cool. From there, we're simply going to change the cross on our legs. You can have your hands now sitting on your thighs or your knees comfortably. Hopefully, your spine still feels really long, lifted, and supported. So now we're just going to do a little bit of eye exercise. I might just bring the camera work a little bit closer. And we're simply going to do similar stuff that we just did with our neck, with our eyes. So just looking over to the left-hand side as if you're peering out the corner of your eyes. Coming back to the center and peering out the right side. And just shift the eyes from left to right a couple of times without being fast. Like really trying to look behind you without moving your head to the left, and then really trying to look behind you without moving your head to the right. Look up. Look up and hold. And then draw the eyes slowly down and look down. To the left, looking up. To the right, looking down. To the right, looking up. To the left, looking down. I'd like you to take your thumb, give yourself a good thumbs up, and just keep your gaze on your thumb, trying to keep it as best you can in 1D, like not doubling up. We haven't had any drinks today, right? So we're only going to see one thumb coming in towards our vision in between our eyes and then pulling it away. And then just repeating it a couple of times, drawing it in, trying to keep single figured thumb, and then back. And then one more. And then back. Now I'd like you to take the thumb out to the right and just keep an eye on it. And then slowly draw it across in front of you to the left and just keep your eye on it. And just repeat it one more time. To the right. And one more time. To the left. Come back to the center. Give yourself a thumbs up. And then release. Bring your hands together. Rub them, rub them, rub them. And then place your heated hands over your eyes. Just let the eyes rest in the palms of your hands. Just let there be a blankness in front of you. You don't need to gaze here, just to really rest the eyes. And then from there, we're just going to take our fingers and begin a little head massage, scratching maybe the temples and the top of your head. And then just begin to move across to the back, to the sides, and to the top. I love head massages. Anytime you feel this fatiguing of the brain, of your thinking, just do shampoo your hair, shampoo your head. It's really, really invigorating. Yum, yum, yum. Sometimes it's nice to do this flicking. You really press hard and then pull away, press hard and pull away. This doesn't make your hair look that gorgeous, so, but that's okay. It's in the evening, we're not going anywhere. So you might like to pat yourself down. Close the eyes. And just feeling. Anything that intuitively comes to you to level things out, then please take some time to do that. But if there is nothing, we're moving on to the next little segment. Going to grab a chair or a table or some sort of something that you can lean into. You might like to use your blanket again to sit on. And we're going to sit with our legs wide. Our legs wide in Upavista Konasana. So of course, take the blanket behind you if you need it. I'm going to get my yoga chair, or you could use your couch, but then if you're using a couch or a bolster, I see some of you struggling. You could use the bolster, if you have a couch, you might be able to place it into the couch just to give yourself a little bit more room, or even, you know, placing the bolster here, because what I'd like us to do is to place our forehead to rest. So I guess this isn't really what I'm hoping for, but if that's the best that you could do, you could try that. I'm going to use this chair. You could get a kitchen chair or something. If that was going to work for you, you know, something that you can just pull in and lean into. Now, the other thing is, I don't want you to collapse, you know, to get the forehead down here. We're completely collapsed through the back of the heart. We're just going to try and keep the spine nice and long. So if that means that you need to place a block on top of your chair, wriggle, wriggle, wriggle your hips so you can be nice and comfortable. And then you might want to use, you know, like a block that can just lean into it. You can place the hands onto the seat of the chair. And that way it enables us to keep nice and long through the spine, not this collapsing thing to get the forehead down, but to take the support that you need, even if it was to have, you know, the block as high as it can possibly go, and to rest the forehead from there. So it's a little bit of an experiment, right? Oh, that looks much better, people. Yeah, that looks good. We've got creative. We've used our problem-solving Ajna to work out what we needed. Forehead rests down onto whatever you have propped up. And we lean a little forward and just hold there. You might like to use the breath back into the head as we've been doing, either front or back. You might like to use some spinal breath as we did before in the cross-leg position. Or you might like to simply breathe naturally and fully into the body, exploring the fullness of your body with the breath. Using the breath as a way of asking a question. You might like to reach into the heels of your feet, drawing the toes back towards the shins. And as you draw the toes back towards the shins, the heels become a little lighter. And then dig them into the floor and pull the heels back towards your calves. So then the toes line up with the heels, and that can sort of help you hook the leg in. And as we hook the leg or foot in, then it sort of helps us to open up through the inner groin, through the back of the legs, and may enable you to lengthen out of the spine with a little more ease. Try and relax the shoulders and find your breath, however you have decided to use it. If you're watching the recording of this, you might like to stop and pause the recording so you can stay here a little longer. But we are going to need to come out really slowly if you're here with me live. And as you gently come out, I'd like you to reach your right hand along the seats and take your left hand behind you. And begin to really reach into that right leg, into that right heel. So you can find that opening and that grounding support that that leg can offer you as you begin to turn to look over your left shoulder. Try not to over effort this. Finding the nice lines from the right hip to the right heel. From the tail to the crown, from the left hip to heel, shoulder to shoulder. Take one more breath there, lengthening in all those directions, particularly north and south. And as you exhale, just releasing that right hand, placing it on the floor, and then lengthening the left arm onto the chair. We take the inhalation. We ride up the spine and we begin to push out from that left hip to the heel. As we exhale, we turn to the right, looking over that right shoulder, trying to keep the hips nice and even here. Lengthening from tail to crown, sit bones to heels, shoulders to fingers. Take one more breath in. And as you exhale, just slowly release. You might be able to just push the chair out of the way. Bring your legs in a little here. And we come deliciously to lie down in Shavasana. If you need any support for Shavasana, I would recommend, if you don't use it. If you really do need it, of course, take it. But if we could have our body lying flat on the floor, that would be ideal for this. as we allow the legs to splay out, feet or heels sitting at around about shoulder distance, and the arms coming out, you know, at least a 45-degree angle away from the body, but perhaps a little bit more. Draw those shoulder blades in towards each other, walk them in, and then tiny little shrug of the shoulders up and then releasing them out so everything is in nice alignment. The flesh of your buttocks goes down towards the heels, towards the feet, and the chin tucks in ever so slightly towards the chest. Palms of the hands are facing up towards the ceiling. Just lay our entire torso down on the earth. Begin to sink into the rhythm of your breath, allowing each exhalation to surrender the body, surrender the muscles a little bit more fully. And then as you're ready, I'd like you to begin to imagine that you can breathe up from the left foot, taking the breath up the left leg, left side of spine to the left nostril, or even to the third eye. And then as you exhale down the right side, right spine, leg and foot, all the way out. And then the inhalation coming up that left foot, leg, side of spine, all the way to the nostril and to the third eye. And then exhaling down from the left nostril, left side of spine, leg, foot, all the way out. Inhale up the left leg and side of body to the third eye. Exhaling down the right side, all the way to the foot. Inhale up the right leg, all the way to the third eye. And exhale down the left side of the body and out the left foot. Inhale from the left foot, all the way up to Ajna. Exhaling down the right side, all the way to the foot. Inhaling right side. Exhaling left side. See if you can continue this for another 2 rounds at least. Whole body breathing or alternate body breathing. We start and finish our rounds on the left side of the body. Finishing the exhalation down the left side of the body. You can, of course, continue the practice until the end of Shavasana. Or if you'd like to let it go, then you can just let it go. And bring your attention to Ajna, to the space between the eyes. And as you look out forward to the blank canvas in front of you, Just allow that gaze to drop back into the brain, an inch or two. So it doesn't feel like you're looking out, but you're looking inwardly. Just allow whatever arises to arise. With no expectation or disappointment. You could even, if you like, keep your focus on the breath entering and exiting from the nostril, riding up into Ajna and back out down the nostrils. You could add the element of breathing in a beautiful deep purple color, beautiful indigo, as the breath enters and draws into Ajna. This beautiful deep purple ball illuminates. Finding the breath once again moving through the body. Feeling the breath, the prana, the life force begin to push into and throughout the limbs, the extremities. As you feel the life force pressing into the shell of your body, you might like to just activate, invite in a little movement. Try to move completely intuitively without the thinking mind, without the logical mind. But that background consciousness that we know can lead us really wisely. It's beginning to really tune into the inner wisdom that resides within you as you begin to gently find your way back to a seated position. Once again, you can bring your hands into prayer, placing the thumbs, back of the thumbs into the eyebrow center. We're taking one breath in and we'll finish class with one Om, which is really the bija sound of this chakra. So inhaling with me. You can let the thumbs drop down to the heart and just gently bow the head to the heart's wisdom, our two wisdom centers, even though there's actually three. We'll just work with these two for now. Taking one last breath, feeling into your own inner seeing, your own inner knowing. Namaste. Thank you all for trusting and being guided to be here. If you'd like to continue to work on this chakra during the week, there's a couple of physical practice you could do, which is, one is sun gazing, which is best done at the rising sun. So it's not too early these days. The sun is rising pretty late, really. So you could try that. So the soft rising of the sun. Sunset is okay, but I think the rising sun is better energy for that. Also, if you can't be bothered with getting up for the sun, or you've got a busy morning schedule, then you could candle gaze. You could light a candle and you put it at around about eye level. I sometimes put a little lower, but they do say to put it at around about eye level, but as best you can, with a pretty blank background. And I quite like it in, you know, without much light. And you gaze at the candle without blinking as much as you can. I often blink a few times before I close my eyes, but you're meant to hold the gaze without blinking. And once you blink, you close your eyes, and then you hold the remains of that flame in your mind's eye. So the image that is left, you maintain. And you try and maintain that image with the eyes shut for as long as possible. And when it disappears, you open your eyes again and you gaze at the candle and start the process again. It's a pretty amazing little thing to do. One, it can definitely help with weak eyes. If your eyes are beginning to go, it definitely helped me years ago when my eyes were beginning to fade and I didn't need glasses for several years before. I sort of needed glasses. And yeah, you can have some really interesting experiences doing this as well. So it's quite an interesting practice. Also, just try intuiting things, you know, that text comes through and you can just try and think, you know, oh, I bet that so-and-so, or, you know, I think this person's going to order that. I don't know. Just, you can have a little play with trying to intuit things and begin to flex your intuition muscle. The other thing to do is to listen to the little inner prompts that you get that tell you things like slow down, like when you're in the car, or, you know, turn the music off, or sometimes you get these messages and you think, why? I'm not going to do that. But listen and do it and see what happens. Because once you start realizing, oh, actually, if I didn't do that, like I had this little message to slow down just like 2 days ago. And sure enough, there was a police car just up the corner doing the speed. So it was just like, ah, thank you. That was a cool little thing. Because I thought, slow down, what for? But then I thought, oh, listen, listen, and there was a police car. So these things can help, particularly as you begin to flex that muscle. So keep playing with it, learn to trust yourself, and the more you do it, the more you'll understand, you know, the little voices that are really guiding you properly. And sometimes we don't even understand why we're guided for something, but I believe now to just listen and just do. Sometimes I haven't listened and I really regretted it very badly. So I think it's worth that. Yeah. Okay, I will stop here now because we're going over time. Love you. Oh, by the way, this is the last Chilasana class. If you would like to do next week's class on the last chakra, it is a flow class and you're most welcome to join with that. I'll be posting both the flow classes, flow asana and chilasana, for all of you to watch over our little break that we're having. Okay, namaste. Bye-bye.
Sila?